Good morning, my Neville and Knight second graders. Today is Monday, April 20th, and that means we begin a new week, which means it's time for a new week of distance learning. And we have some fun things planned for this week. Remember that you now need to pull out your matrix for week 4. And remember that each day there is a date by the day of the week, so make sure that you follow along each day so that you are doing the work that you need to do for your must-dos for reading and math. We are going to start a new chapter book today. Well, today we're going to preview it. We'll actually start reading it tomorrow. And so I'm going to take some time to introduce that book to you today. And you know that good readers always practice some pre-reading skills before they read. And the book that we are reading this week is another Magic Treehouse book. Hopefully I got you really excited about the Magic Treehouse series last week when we were reading. And one good pre-reading skill is to think about what you already know about a book before you begin. So I want you to remember the one that we read last week. And I want you to think back and try to remember. You could ask yourself, now, who are the main characters again? Do you remember how the Magic Treehouse would transport the characters to another place and time? So think about that. And I will now show you the cover of the new book that we are going to read this week. It is called Lions at Lunchtime. So before we read, you'll want to study the cover. Hopefully you have your own book by now. I know we were waiting for that book to come in. And when I'm making this video, you do not have the book yet, but hopefully by the time you see this, the book will be in your hands. So if you have it, go get it, please. Study the cover. Remember, good readers take a good look at the cover. They look at the title. They ask themselves some pre-reading questions. Where do you think it's going to take place? Do you see the same two characters, Jack and Annie, as we saw in the first book? Now I'm going to read the blurb to you. And here's what the blurb says. Where are the lions? Follow along if you have the book. Jack wonders when the Magic Treehouse whisks him away and his sister to the vast plains of Africa. So he's looking for the lions. He knows that lions live in Africa. And I'm going to show you our map of the world. You know that we have 7 continents in our world, and you live in the continent of North America, but this story takes place across the Atlantic Ocean in this continent of Africa. And Jack already knows that lions live there, but he's wondering where the lions are. It says, before he can find out, Annie starts to help hundreds of wildebeests crossing a rushing river. Now I bet you're wondering what a wildebeest is, so I'm going to show you. A wildebeest is a relative of the antelope, and it looks just like that. They are usually between 300 and 500 pounds. So Annie is helping the wildebeest cross a rushing river. Next, they follow a honey of a bird and meet an awesome Maasai warrior. Now, the Maasai are a group of people that live in Africa, and this gives you an example of what a Maasai warrior might look like. They dress in red because red represents power. Jack hopes any lions will just stay away. Now remember, Jack is a character that's a little more cautious than his sister Annie. She's much more daring. So he wants the lions to stay away. I think he's a little afraid of them. It says Jack is about to be very disappointed. But you won't be when you read Magic Treehouse number 11, Lions at Lunchtime. So there's the book. Now, I would like you to make a promise to me. You know how I sometimes have you put up your right hand and you say, I promise? I want you to put up your right hand and say, I promise I will not read ahead in this book, even though I'm going to want to, because it's such a good book. So promise you won't read ahead. Promise you'll only read the parts that I assign each day. And we will be reading the book together, so that will make it easy for you to stay on track. But we're not going to start reading today. Today is all about pre-reading and getting ready to read. So if you look at your matrix for today, it tells you to watch the video, which you're doing right now, and you are to do pages 1 and 2 in your Lions at Lunchtime packet, but do not begin reading yet. It does tell you to read for 20 minutes from another book of your choice. So take some time to do that today. Now it says pages 1 and 2. So this is the packet that you need to look in. It is in your distance learning folder. And you have this already. So here's page 1. And I'm going to read the questions to you. You can follow along in your packet. The first question is pretty easy. Who is the author of the book, Lions at Lunchtime? Question 2. Have you read any other stories written by this author? Check yes or no. Question 3. Look at the front cover. What are some text features you notice that could help you predict what the book is about? Now, if you don't have the book yet, you can just go back in my video here and go study the cover again. Number 4. Using those text features, make a prediction about what the book will be about. So go ahead and do that. And then you have one more page to do, and that is page 2. It's a page that looks like this. Page numbers are at the bottom. And you'll notice there are lines to help you do your writing on this page. So try to write in complete sentences. I'm going to be looking for capital letters and periods. Look at the cover of the book and think about the title. Make a prediction. What might this book be about? So write as many things as you can think of there. Where do you think the setting of this book might be based on the title and cover? I kind of gave you a hint about that already when I showed you the map, didn't I? Now it says, write your prior knowledge about Africa. Now you know what prior knowledge is. It's all that schema, all that information you already have in your head. So you're going to write everything you can think of that you already know about Africa. And I'm sure you know some things already. Now I have put an activity on Seesaw to help you do this so that you can show me your work. If you just follow what I wrote on Seesaw, you're going to take a picture of these pages when you finish, and then that is how I can see the work that you did. So please make sure you do that today and send it to me on Seesaw. And now you can get out your math packet because we're going to do some math. For math today, we will begin by checking the answers to the work I assigned yesterday. So please get out your packet, and you will see that yesterday you did page 543, working with picture graphs again. So the answer to number 4, how do most students get to school? Walk. Number 5, how many students ride the bus and ride in cars? You had to add those together, and you get 4. How many students voted? You had to count up all of the votes. You should have the answer 10. How will the graph change if you add another way to get to school? For number 7, you should have written something similar to the graph will have one more row. And then for number 8, to write a question that can be answered using the data in the picture graph, you had to do that on your own, but I remember I asked you to write something that started with how many more. And remember, we always think how many more? Ding, 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 ding. Subtract when you see those 3 words. You can probably solve it with subtraction. So I wrote how many more students walk than ride bike to school. So if I look at the top, it's walk 5 students, biking is 1. So my number sentence at the bottom is 5 minus 1 equals 4. So check yours, see if you wrote a how many more question with a capital letter and a question mark at the end, and make sure you have a subtraction sentence to answer that. If we go on to the back on the problem solving part, You needed to answer the question. 3 more people were surveyed. They all like cheese. What topping is now the favorite? So instead of pepperoni, now it's cheese. And remember the 2 brain builders, or the brain builder that has 2 answers to it. You needed to put Carter for the first answer, comma, 1 more vote for the second answer. So whose favorite pizza topping got more votes was Carter. How many more votes? 1 more vote. Now again at the bottom, you had to write your own question and ask a friend to answer the question. I hope you did that. Here's my example. How many more people like pepperoni than sausage? Again, how many more? Ding, 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 ding. Subtract. So if you look up above, pepperoni had 5 votes compared to sausage, so minus 2 equals 3. So if we look at our matrix for today, it says complete numbers 1 through 6 on page 547. And I can see we're only doing the back side of that page and doing, or the front side of that page, doing the back side tomorrow. So here is page 547. It is a check my progress page. You have 3 vocabulary words: picture graph, survey, and key. In a blank, you collect data by asking people the same question. A blank tells what or how many each symbol stands for. Number 3, a blank has different pictures to show information collected. So put in those 3 words and I will show you the answers tomorrow. Now for the concept check, they want you to ask 10 people their favorite color. So I'm going to pretend that 10 of you are here with me. And I'm going to pretend I asked Wisdom and he said blue. So let's put a tally for Wisdom's vote. And then I asked Emmy and she said pink. So we'll put a tally for that vote. And then I asked Natalia and she said purple. Next I asked Anthony and he said blue, just like Wisdom. So fill yours in at the same time I'm doing this, please. Then I asked Adrian. Adrian also liked blue. Then I asked Logan, and Logan's such a John Deere fan, I'm thinking he would say green. Then I asked Helku, and she also said green. Then I asked Zadie. Zadie said pink. Then I asked Heath. He's a big fan of green. And I asked Oliver. And Oliver is a big fan of green also. So let's see, do I have 10? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 total. So please make your tally chart look like that. Fill in the numbers for the total and answer these questions. What color do people like the most? How many people like pink and green? So you'll have to add those up. And what color do people like the least? We will talk about the back tomorrow. That's pretty easy work for today. Have a wonderful Monday, and I will be back tomorrow.